George, you live? Okay, welcome everybody to the regular monthly meeting of the Board of Commissioners held for the purpose of transacting the general business of the township. Today's date is March 13th, 2024. The meeting is being held in the Springfield Township building. It's also being offered in a live streaming feature. The meeting will also be made available on the township's website beginning tomorrow morning. Comments will not be accepted remotely during the meeting, but instructions for submitting public comment in advance of tonight's meeting were provided as part of the posted agenda. Mr. Taylor, if you could summarize any public comment received.
No public comment was received, sir.
Okay, thank you. This time, please stand and join the Board of Commissioners in a moment of silent reflection to honor the servicemen and women who placed themselves in harm's way in order to help preserve our safety at home and overseas. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time, I would entertain a motion dispensing with the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting. It's written and recorded in the official minute book of the township.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record a unanimous vote. All of our board members are here this evening. I would like to recognize a former board member, Commissioner Maxwell. Thank you for joining us. Board of Commissioners conducted an executive session as part of its March 11th, 2024 workshop meeting to discuss one litigation matter and one real estate matter. At this time, I would recognize Chief Michael Pitko and Magisterial District Judge Kate McGill. Justice McGill will administer the oath of office to our newly promoted Sergeant Christopher Calhoun and Corporal Calvin Wiley.
Okay, thank you. Come on over. Good evening, everybody. So this is an exciting night. I don't think I've ever seen this boardroom this crowded. Our friends from White Marsh Township Police, Director of Public Safety, Ben Salem Township, Bucks County, and Lieutenant from Ben Salem. And I'm probably missing some other folks, but a lot of Springfield Township officers here tonight. So thank you for coming. And it's exciting because we have two promotions. First off, another thing, I want to point out a couple of our retired folks. Detective Denise Hoisington's here tonight, and Sergeant Ray McMahon is sitting 3 rows back. So thanks for coming out tonight. So we have two promotions, the sergeant and corporal, all made possible because we have a retirement resolution this evening to serve to Bruce Nesbitt after 33 years of distinguished service. Last time we had promotion in Springfield was 2020. I'm actually very encouraged with this last test because we had, I think for the first time, we had 13 candidates participate in the process. And that's a very good sign for our department. I've heard some other departments throughout the county that the promotion numbers, we have a tough enough time with recruiting right now. Promotion numbers have also been lighter, people that are taking the exam. So I'm encouraged by that. Sergeant Calhoun and Corporal Wiley performed very well in the process. They were both ranked #1 in their positions. So we congratulate them for willing to take on more responsibility. And we're counting on you to guide your squads accordingly. So let me tell you a little bit about Sergeant Calhoun first. They took their initial oath of office on February 26th. So they've had a little taste of their new positions. So Sergeant Calhoun, he's a graduate of the Temple University Police Academy in March 2013. He has a bachelor's degree from Penn State University, 2012. A proud graduate of Archbishop Bryan High School. He was appointed to our police department March 31st, 2014, and promoted to corporal August 11th, 2020. Now, here's a very short training synopsis. We have a lot of training offered to our officers. Way too many that I can list, but let me give you some of the highlights for Sergeant Calhoun. Crisis intervention specialist through Montgomery County Emergency Services, Fundamentals of Supervision taught by the Chiefs Police Association of Montgomery County back in November of 20. Actually went to a criminal investigation block by the Montgomery County Detective Bureau, 2019. Importantly, he's a member of the Montgomery County SWAT Central Region team, which about 25 departments are in Central, including Springfield Township, so we appreciate his service in that. And he's also a certified drone operator with a SWAT team. He got his field training experience as a instructing 2016 and 2018 review training. And lastly, he's a police cyclist, mountain bike, international police mountain. When's the last time you rode a
You
bike?
could have skipped that one.
Okay. You need to ride a bike a little bit more. The highlights. Here's a good one. So some of the accommodations, he received a accommodation and unit citation for the arrest of a stolen vehicle involving 2 juveniles and 2 firearms, the Windward section of Township, back in October of 22. He got a recognition letter from the Lower Providence Township Police Department, assisting with a central team SWAT and a very volatile barricaded individual who actually set his house on fire in Lower Providence back in June of 21. And one more recognition letter from the White Marsh Township Police Department. They were here tonight for responding to an assist officer call involving a firearm on Ridge Pike, March 2021. Chris had received 6 letters of appreciation of his services and recognition for 0 sick leave, 2020, 17, 16, 15, and 14. Okay, so. You know what, how about if I just go into Corporal Wiley's background real quick? And we point out that their wives are here. We thank their wives for attending this evening. Corporal Wiley, Montgomery County Community College, the Municipal Police Academy, graduated in March of 2014. He's also a graduate of Montgomery County, the Community College, with an associate's degree in criminal justice in 2015, graduating with honors, and a proud graduate of the Upper Moreland High School. He's appointed to our police department in January 11th, 2016. And here's another short synopsis of his training. He was lucky because he started, he got the swearing in by Judge McGill, and he went right into a week-long training of fundamentals of supervision, again taught by the Montgomery County Chiefs up at the Bucks County Training Center. He's been assigned to the traffic safety unit. So he's trying to figure out how the headlights work on the car. Now he's back on patrol. He's a lot of training though in accident reconstruction. So he's got his reconstruction training in 2023, pretty intense training. A member of the Montgomery County Major Incident Response Team, another cyclist. Also went to the Advanced Collision Investigation 2019. He's also a field training officer since 18, and the first level, the on-scene crash investigation 2017. Now, Corporal Wiley received quite a few awards at our last ceremony. He got the Highway Safety Award in March of 23, fairly active on patrol. He had a unit citation for an arrest of a male with numerous thefts from purses and pickpocketing from the active market in Flowertown, March of 23. So the awards were given out all in March of 23. An arrest of 3 suspects for firearms charge and narcotics in the Flowertown Shopping Center. And finally, a letter of commendation for an arrest for an individual with a firearm and DUI on Bethlehem Pike. Recognition and appreciation from other law enforcement, the Cheltenham Township Police Department, with an emotionally disturbed person who had 2 machetes. Remember that call well, March of 23. And he had 8 other officers actually received a recognition from Cheltenham Township on that same incident. He did get a letter of appreciation from a citizen of Springfield Township. I think that's all we have for Corporal Wiley, but that's enough, right? Sure. So, Your Honor, if you want to.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, no matter what.
Stand over here. Be in the middle. They can see you. Okay. You do. All right. Ready?
Yep.
I, Christopher Calhoun,
I, Christopher Calhoun,
do swear
do swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the laws of the United States,
and the laws of the United
the
States,
Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
and the Township of Springfield.
and the Township of Springfield.
I will faithfully discharge
I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as a sergeant
as a sergeant
for Springfield Township.
for Springfield Township.
I will uphold,
I will uphold,
obey, and enforce the
obey,
law
obey, and enforce the law
without consideration
without consideration
for person's race,
to the person's race,
color,
color,
sex,
sex,
religious creed,
religious creed,
sexual orientation,
sexual orientation,
age,
age,
national origin,
national origin,
ancestry,
ancestry,
handicap, or disability.
handicap, or disability.
I will obey the rules
I will obey the rules
and regulations,
and regulations,
policies,
policies,
and procedures
and procedures
governing sworn members
governing sworn members
of the Springfield Township Police Department.
of the Springfield Township Police Department.
I will not knowingly accept,
I will not knowingly accept,
directly or indirectly,
directly or indirectly,
any money
any money
or other valuable things
or other valuable things
for performance
for performance
or non-performance,
or non-performance
any act or duty
or of any act or duty
pertaining to my office,
pertaining to my office,
other than such compensation
other than such compensation
as may be allowed
as may be allowed
by the Board of Commissioners.
by the Board of Commissioners
Springfield.
of Springfield Township. Thank you.
No, my-
Yeah.
I, Calvin Wiley,
I, Calvin Wiley,
swear
do swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the laws
and the laws
of the United States,
of the United States,
the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
and the Township of Springfield,
and the Township of Springfield,
that I will faithfully discharge
that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my
as
office
a corporal
as a corporal
for Springfield Township,
for Springfield Township,
and that I will uphold,
and that I will uphold,
obey, and enforce
obey, and
the
enforce
law
the law
without consideration
without consideration
for person's race,
to a person's race,
color,
color,
sex,
sex,
religious creed,
religious creed,
sexual orientation,
sexual orientation,
age,
age,
national origin,
national origin,
ancestry,
ancestry,
handicap, or disability.
handicap, or disability.
I will obey
I will obey
the rules and regulations,
the rules and regulations,
policies, and procedures
policies, and procedures
governing sworn members
governing sworn members
of the Springfield Township Police Department.
of the Springfield Township Police Department.
I will not knowingly accept,
I will not knowingly accept,
directly or indirectly,
directly or indirectly,
any money
any money
or other valuable thing
or other valuable things
for performance or non-performance,
for performance or non-performance
any act or duty
of any act or duty
pertaining to my office,
pertaining to my office,
other than such compensation
other than such compensation
as may be allowed
as may be allowed
by the Board of Commissioners,
by the Board of Commissioners
Springfield.
of Springfield Township. Thank you.
Any other pictures or anything to do?
Anymore.
That's up to them.
Yep. Any other pictures you guys want to do?
Oh, yeah, there you go. Oh, my. One with both of them.
Yeah.
Which side of the chief with the judge?
All right. Good deal. Good.
Back on you.
Good.
Here
Okay.
after you.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay.
Oh,
Maybe start
sorry,
one
the
last
resolution that you want to do?
Oh, yes. Yep.
Yeah, so now we're going to honor Sergeant Bruce Nesbitt for his 33 years of service. So because Bruce has been here for 33 years, I have 2 pages, or at least 1.5, but I'll try to be brief. Uh, Bruce, Sergeant Nesbitt was hired February 18th of 1991, retired recently, February 23rd of 24. He was promoted to sergeant December 3rd of 2012. He's a graduate of Montgomery County Community College Municipal Police Academy back in 1990. Previously, Bruce worked as a part-time officer with the Jenkintown and Rockledge Borough Police Departments. He's a firearms and classroom instructor at the Temple University Police Academy and a firearms instructor at Montgomery County Community College Municipal Police Academy for the Act 120 program. A little bit of his training synopsis. Firearms instructor since 1993. I think I was in the same class with it. Southeast Training Center, 1993. I also had some training out of Montgomery County Community College in firearms, 1994. Field training, Montgomery County Public Safety Training Campus in 2005. Dynamic handgun at Abington Township Police Safety Training Center, 2010. Sergeant Nesbitt had his fundamentals of supervision class at the Montgomery County Public Safety Training Campus in 2013. And then he had pretty prestigious training with the FBI's LEADER program. He went through all 3 modules on that, the Supervisor, Executive, and Command Leadership Institute. And that was all done between 2019 and 2020 at the Bucks County Training Center. Memorandums of commendation, looking back in this very large file. I don't know if you remember this one, Bruce. A foot pursuit and apprehension of driver in a stolen vehicle back in 1993. And get a load of this one. Off duty, he apprehended a hit and run driver in Cheltenham Township in 1997. You remember that? You do. Got a couple well-done letters from arrest of a male for domestic violence in 1996, and apprehended 2 males for thefts from the Flowertown, Texaco, and Kmart way back in 2002. White Marsh Township, and I remember this one, although I wasn't working, but I think you were working, Denise. White Marsh Township Police Department assisted at the robbery of the Pizza Hut. Back 5 total arrests back in 1996. Cheltenham Township assisted the man with a stolen gun at the Walmart, 2021. The Cheltenham Township, a lot of folks probably remember this, assisted at the Walmart shooting where the offender fled the scene and crashed into a Philadelphia Police Department wagon in the city of Philadelphia, not that far away. Montgomery Township Police Department, they had a bank robbery and a pursuit down Route 309, got off at the Church Road exit, and then the male was apprehended by Springfield and Montgomery Township Police back in 2014. And actually also helped out at White Marsh, a fatal crash. He assisted with probably covering the calls for White Marsh 2014. Sergeant Nesbitt has received 23 letters of appreciation during his long career. I get a load of this, the appreciation for 0 sick leave. I need some more paper here. 1991, 94, 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23. We must have 1 day in 22, I guess, right? My records might be wrong, but I mean, it's incredible that Bruce is well known for making it into a shift. And in fact, he's one person that would come in an hour early every shift that he worked. And I think you reminded me more than once that you did come in an hour early every day, right? But all kidding aside, congratulations really on a great career. You really accomplished a lot. We thank you for your service, and we hope you have a long, healthy retirement.
She's going to go down.
All right.
Joined by Commissioner Cobb.
Great. I would like to invite Commissioner Cobb to come down and read the resolution into the record.
There'll be a little bit of a crossover with the chief's comments, but hopefully everyone will leave tonight with an appreciation for Sergeant Calhoun's haircut and a deep dive into Sergeant Nesbitt's long and illustrious career. So this will be resolution number 1633, honoring Bruce Nesbitt for a career of service to Springfield Township, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Whereas Bruce Nesbitt was raised in the Northwood section of Springfield Township and attended Philmont Christian Academy in Erdenheim. And whereas on April 30th, 1990, Bruce graduated from the Montgomery County Community College Municipal Police Academy. And whereas on February 18th, 1991, Bruce was hired as a Springfield Township police officer. And whereas on December 3rd, 2012, Bruce was promoted directly to the rank of sergeant and was responsible for the supervision of Patrol Squad Number 1 until his retirement in February 2024. And whereas throughout his career with the Springfield Township Police Department, Sergeant Nesbitt completed countless training courses, including firearms instructor, the fundamentals of supervision, the FBI Law Enforcement Executive Development Association trilogy for supervisors, command staff and executives, anti-bias policing, mental health training, and recurring case law training. And whereas Sergeant Nesbitt served as a field training officer and presently serves as an instructor at the Temple University Police Academy and the Montgomery County College Municipal Police Academy, sharing his vast knowledge and experience with the next generation of law enforcement professionals. And whereas Sergeant Nesbitt has received numerous letters of appreciation and memoranda of commendation from neighboring law enforcement agencies and the Springfield Township Chief of Police. And whereas Sergeant Nesbitt was recognized by those he protected and served by receiving 23 letters of appreciation from the residents of Springfield Township during his distinguished career. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Springfield Township does hereby recognize, commend, and wholeheartedly thank Sergeant Bruce Nesbitt for 33 years of dedicated service to the Springfield Township community, and also extends well wishes to Bruce, his wife Christina, and sons Sam and Luke. So before I read the last line, I'd like to make a motion to accept this resolution, number 1633.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? I would just like to reiterate, thank you for your years of service. You know, it's not an easy job to put yourself in harm's way. And we have, and just congratulations to our two officers that were promoted. The amount of feedback and commendation from their superiors was impressive, as well as the public. And the only easy thing that wasn't about it was that our other candidates were great too. So we're really lucky to have you in these positions. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy your retirement. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
Unanimously adopted on the 13th day of March, 2024. Congratulations.
All right.
Stay in there, John.
Okay, good deal. All right.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone is Bruce Kings to say anything? He's not going to.
Sergeant Nesbitt, would you like to say anything? You don't have to, but you're more than welcome.
I would just like to say, thank you. Springfield has been very good to me. And, I wish, the new guys that just got promoted lots of luck and, everybody to stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. At this time, we'll take a 2-minute recess, just to give people a chance to gather and and speak, and then we'll pick up with the rest of the agenda.
One or two.
What's up, Mr. Hammer?
We usually don't. Mike's just wordy. You know, once you get him in front of the microphone, you can't keep him.
Should be a very nice one.
Maybe. You can acknowledge that, just say.
From history, I think they feel like people coming and going.
Maybe, I mean, I think it would be quick enough, but it's been.
Okay.
Still. You can say to them, we know you don't really want the spotlight, that's why I gave you the opportunity to clear the roof. Or you could say, you thought all those people were here for you. He's good. All right, they're out.
Two different things.
Are you giving me two things? Or are you giving me?
Things and take one.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Okay, there you go. All right, folks, we're going to get back into the agenda, and I would at this time like to invite Wesley Holloway up to the front of the room, a retired Public Works employee, and joined by Commissioner McNamara. Commissioner McNamara, I'd ask you to read into record Resolution 1634, honoring Mr. Holloway for 35 years of service. Now, Wes, whenever we have promotions, we know families start coming and going afterwards, so I didn't want to, have the noise coming and going, so hence the recess. So, thank you.
Sure, Wes. Okay, I'd like to introduce resolution number 1634, a resolution honoring a career of service to Springfield Township, Montgomery County by Wesley Holloway. Whereas Wesley E. Holloway, Wes, a resident of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, graduated from West Catholic High School in 1980. And whereas on May 9th, 1988, Wes joined the Springfield Township Public Works Department as a seasonal employee dedicated to refuse collection. And whereas on August 29th, 1988, Wes joined the Springfield Township Public Works Department as a seasonal employee. Oh, I already read that, pardon me. Whereas on August 29th, 1988, Wes was hired as a full-time employee, following in his father Willie's footsteps, ready to serve the residents of Springfield Township while upholding the values and goals of the Public Works Department. Whereas in April 1991, when the township required a knowledgeable, talented, and trustworthy employee to operate refuse collection truck, Wes eagerly accepted the assignment. Whereas no matter the weather conditions, Wes was always leading by example, striving to be an exceptional coworker, protecting the safety and well-being of his crew, and always with a sense of humor. And whereas whether Wes was driving the refuge collection truck, operating a winter maintenance vehicle, or walking the halls of the Public Works garage, his presence was always respected and appreciated by his fellow coworkers and supervisors. And whereas during emergency weather events, Wes was required to be absent from his wife Rhonda and daughters Anaya and Aaliyah on many nights, weekends, and holidays in order to serve the Springfield Township community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners does hereby recognize, commend, and wholeheartedly thank Wesley E. Holloway for 35 years of dedicated service to the Springfield Township community, and also extends best wishes to Wes and his family in the future. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? It's a long time, Wes. Thank you. We hope you enjoy retirement.
I will, thank you.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
Unanimously adopted.
Thank you. We have another retiree to honor tonight. The Michael Grove, also a retired public works employee, was unable to join the board this evening as he recently moved to North Carolina. I would ask Commissioner McNamara to read into record resolution number 1635, a resolution honoring Michael Grove for 39 years of service to the Springfield Township community.
Okay, I introduce resolution number 1635, honoring a career of service to Springfield Township, Montgomery County by Michael Grove. Whereas Michael Grove, a resident of Springfield Township for 26 years, graduated from Springfield Township High School in 1981 before moving to Abington Township. And whereas on July 23rd, 1984, Mike joined the Springfield Township Public Works Department as a full-time refuse laborer. And whereas when the Board of Commissioners determined that there was a need for a full-time street sweeper operator in July of 1988, Mike volunteered for this role with pride and dedication. Whereas an operator of the department's street sweeper, Mike kept the Springfield Township's streets free of debris and litter, making the community a better place to live and work. And whereas Mike's public service extended beyond his employment with Springfield Township as a volunteer firefighter and a member of Winmore Hose Company No. 1, where he served for 40 years and will forever be a life member. Whereas Mike was assisting with roadway maintenance projects, ensuring the stormwater conveyance systems were operating properly, or volunteering with the fire department, he did so fully and without hesitation or recognition. And whereas during emergency events, Mike was frequently required to be absent from his wife Judy and daughters Jen and Rachel on many nights, weekends, and holidays, serving the Springfield Township residents. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners does hereby recognize, commend, and wholeheartedly thank Michael A. Grove for 39 years of dedicated service to the Springfield Township community, and also extends best wishes to Mike and his family in their retirement home in North Carolina. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Please record a unanimous vote. And even though he's not here, let's give him a nice round of applause.
Is he watching?
No, okay.
I will say, a couple of us attended the retirement parties. You guys threw a nice party in the garage. And I just want to commend the long time retirement and also recognize Wes's father, who I didn't know, was also a long time and retired employee of Public Works. Just really wonderful to have this type of dedication in the township. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Right, well said. Okay, at this time, I would like to invite Barb Sense and Sue Craythorne, co-chairs of the Springfield Township Opioid Action Committee, and the student volunteers of the committee. They're addressing the board regarding the program activities for the No Stigma, No Shame Day on April 20th, 2024, and a town hall event planned for April 11th, 2024.
Hi, everyone. I'm back. I'm Barb Sense, as I said. I'm the co-chair of Springfield Township Opioid Action Committee. Half of our kids are here and half were at the health fair at Erdenheim, so we had to split up tonight. So I just wanted, about a year and a half ago, I came with my students and they did an amazing presentation, I thought at least, to talk about why having a no stigma, no shame day in Springfield was so important. And they were just amazing. So I thought this year we just kind of come back with mostly newbies, two newbies here. They're in ninth grade. This is Liam Wells, Nate Davis, and Stormy Shocksbury is the sophomore now. And she was on the committee last year. And they're doing some amazing things right now, both at the high school, and we're doing some cool stuff at the middle school. And I just wanted to have them remind you why we're doing this and why they are doing this and the things that they're doing at the school. So, and I keep telling them the more they get in front of audiences, the less nervous they'll get. So, give them a break. Okay. We're gonna start with Stormy.
Hi, I'm Stormy. I want to let you guys know who we are as StudX students and what our vision is. So we want to educate our school community and increase understanding about substance use, substance misuse, substance use disorder, and the stigma behind it. We will promote a proactive, open, non-judgmental, and healthy environment through ongoing, open, and honest conversations. Why we do this is because we want to spread awareness and perspective in our schools regarding SUD and mental health challenges. We want to stop the stigma and create no shame mentality in our schools. And you can't learn by scare tactics, outdated information, or biasness. The school community needs to be comfortable talking, seeking help, and accessing up-to-date resources without being judged or shamed. SUD is related disorders that can happen to anybody, and you are not alone. Our mission is to support ongoing, exponential, up-to-date, and interactive education and awareness programs in schools, guided towards the student body and administration in our community. We have some core values, and there's no stigma, no shame, open-mindedness, welcoming community, kindness, no bullying, safe spaces, and education.
I just wanted to go over what exactly is stigma. Stigma is a set of negative beliefs that a group or society holds about a topic or group of people. So why is stigma slash no shame day so important to Springfield Township? Our community, including our schools, need to take ownership and responsibility, encourage everyone to understand and be able to completely discuss substance use disorders and mental health. We can't ignore mental health. We can't ignore that substance use happens and saying, I've got this covered, or it won't happen to me or us. They're young, they'll get over it, doesn't help anyone. Almost everyone is affected in some way by substance use disorders, whether you're a child, teen, young adult, or senior. We shouldn't think we can't talk about it. We need to be proactive, non-judgmental, understanding, and set an example for everyone about how much we care and need to change the conversation. The more we understand, the less we shame, the less stigma there will be. Less stigma translates to better understanding, more support, and lives saved. Our community needs to recognize, support, and embrace no stigma / no shame day, and always strive to be the best that we can be.
Simple things that students can do to prevent harm reduction. Know where and how to throw away prescription medications. Listen, don't laugh, bully, or dismiss. Talk to somebody. Know where to find resources. Know how to advocate. Do not do nothing. Activities at high school and the middle school. The middle school, there are ongoing conversations with the Multicultural Club, shattering myths. There's a shattering myths exercise. There's a multicultural club that will create a collage from shattering the myths post-it notes. Health class conversations with 8th grade and with 8th grade classes. No shame, no stigma sticker contest with the gift cards and point rewards. Morning announcements and daily video education. CPR, hands-only training for group of 8th graders, and also e-blasts. For the high school, there will be informational morning announcements, commercials with interviews done by the STOAC students with the school community, shattering the myth and post-it event on April 12th will recognize No Stigma and No Shame Day. We will also create a collage, post signs in school and at businesses around the community. CPR, hands-on training, and we don't know the date yet. E-blast in the community on April 11th. The town hall will be a part of the conversation. Now, be a part of the conversation, navigating the maze of substance use disorder and mental health. CPR hands-on training with Narcan training in May. Informational signs throughout the community and township website posts.
And last but not least, we want the board and you all to remember that sometimes we think that we are a small township and everything is under control. We do not have substance use or mental health issues. Keep it quiet so it seems like it doesn't happen. Our township is as vulnerable as anywhere else, whether it's a city, suburbs, or a rural area. If we care about our community, then we should be committed to welcoming, understanding, and changing attitudes and awareness about substance use disorder and mental health. It's actually pretty easy to do so. Have an open mind, question, listen, and educate yourself. Make it a routine. Everyone has mental health. This affects everyone in the community, families, neighbors, neighborhoods, businesses. It does not happen in a vacuum and stay there. Drug and mental health issues are not going away. The more we talk about them, the more power we have. As everyone knows, addiction does not discriminate, nor does it avoid certain zip codes.
Great. This is, this is our third year having STOAC students now, and we're really, really proud of that. And they all have great ideas. They love to talk, which is a good thing. And I was completely flabbergasted after our meeting this week when they said, can we have a meeting next week? And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like, we've really made it here. So we're going to continue, and we're doing lots of things, and I'm very proud of them. So we just wanted to let you know that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Does the board members have any questions or comments for the STOAC crew?
Still up.
No? Okay,
Am I still up? Okay.
good.
Do you want to talk about the signs? or-
No, we'll open it to public comment, and that'll be our first agenda, and we'll vote on that. So,
Okay.
but I would just like to say thank you for being here. The work that you guys are involved in and that STOAC has done for a number of years is really important work. And obviously, it's not just about addiction, it's about mental health and the stigma around that and the support of the community. So what you guys do is really invaluable, and I encourage you to keep it up. It's a great asset to our community. Thank you. The board is now open to comments or questions from the public. The board draws particular attention to those items listed on the agenda this evening. Please be advised that once the committee reports begin, the board can no longer accept questions from the floor. At the conclusion of the committee reports, public comments will once again be accepted. However, official action on those issues listed on the agenda will have already taken place. Therefore, if you wish to comment on an agenda item, now would be the appropriate time. If you do come to the microphone, please begin by stating your name and address. Okay, seeing no public comment.
I think you got to take it.
Oh, yeah, come on up.
Everything on the agenda, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi. So my name is David Richardson. I live at 2021 Cedar Lane, and I'd like to comment on the Mill Road variance application. So I have a couple general comments that have come up at various meetings here and also the planning meeting about sort of flag lots in general and the variances for Springfield. And I've lived here about 10 years, and I think that Springfield is a really nice place to live. And that a lot of that has to do with the sort of general character of the neighborhoods and things like the zoning ordinances that keep sort of reasonable density and keep things the way they are. So I generally, and I know this has been asked about it in the previous commissioners meetings, I'm generally opposed to variances that will break up lots into smaller areas and will allow houses to be put on as flag lots. I think there's a bunch of problems in terms of density, and I think it changes what people sort of had when they moved in. So that's just kind of a general comment. I know several commissioners brought that up at previous meetings. This one in particular, I think one of the major concerns is that it remains that there's no Cedar Road access in whatever gets submitted. Even if that happens, things that have been mentioned before have not addressed whether or not utilities will come in through Cedar or what kind of construction would be able to come up through there. And I think that is a significant problem for the residents there. It's a small street. I mean, we've gone through this at other meetings. There's a lot of small children, and having like a lot of construction coming up and down or a lot of utility work, I think would be problematic. I'm not sure how much traffic disruption will end up for that, but I think one thing to consider is even if everything is on the mill side, all that traffic has to go someplace. So if Mill's closed for a while, it's probably going to go through like Sunnybrook, Valley Green. There's already kind of dense traffic there, and especially at rush hour, it's problematic. And I think those are kind of my major comments. I don't know if anyone has any follow-up questions or no? Yeah, sure, go ahead.
If some of the residents on Cedar Lane want to do renovations to their home, their primary residence, would there be a problem with that kind of construction?
I think it would be the duration would be the problem. So, I mean, people have done things like, renovations or additions, and it did not result in long-term disruption. So I think short stuff, I'm totally fine with. I don't really understand how long it takes to build a house, but that sounds complicated to me, and like it would probably take a long time. And so my concern would be like the duration, if it's effectively unbounded and there's not sort of a constraint on like time of day and length of disruption.
Thank you.
Certainly, by right or required in certain areas.
Yeah, I think that's a separate issue of that. I think the more variances that end up needing to be granted, I think generally their rules are there for a good reason. And so things like frontage requirements, I think, are one that makes total sense to say we want to have sufficient frontage that the houses are not packed on top of each other.
Do the neighbors have any understanding of whether if the property that's existing on 401 East Mill Road were to be knocked down or torn down, do you have an understanding of what could be built there by right?
I mean, it sounds like multiple houses, but I don't understand exactly what could possibly be there. I will say, I mean, one of the things for that, just as a general thing for variances, is I would assume if it was knocked down and it was kind of constructed as a large number, that things like property setbacks would have to be taken into account. You would have to worry about drainage. And it did seem that some of the current proposal kind of circumvented some of that with things like, well, what if we have an easement here? What if we have a variance on frontage there?
And would you mind characterizing just the nature of the conversation that not everybody can make it out when we evenly?
So I think it's a mix. I mean, so I've probably talked to, I don't know, most of Cedar Lane. I don't know very many people that live on Mill, and I have not talked to people on Carrollton, but I would say like the major concern had to do with access on Cedar, right? So if there ended up being another driveway there, there's like sort of a host of problems. Those are all in the public record for the planning meetings. I could try and go through them again if people want. But there, essentially there's things like there are trees there that would probably have to be cut down. There's a fire hydrant. It's where snow goes right now. There's not a lot of room on the street. Those I think are kind of the general primary concerns. Another concern is definitely the utilities and the construction. I know that that's come up at previous, I can't remember the other property. Someone had asked about it before. There was another property that came up before. There was concern about utilities and like capacity on the utility system. So those I think are two major ones. And then any kind of disruption due to traffic was a major one in terms of themes throughout the entire neighborhood. And I would say I probably talked to probably something like 10 to 15 people, properties along there.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Good evening. My name is Rui Chow. I'm a resident at 404 Cedar Lane for a long time, ever since 1975, with my wife. Now, before I going to say what I want to say about the case of 2325, I want to take this opportunity of this auspicious moment of ceremony, which I'm very impressed, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the board for their hard work. And we really never
Go
really
on.
Sorry?
Keep going.
Keep going. Well, no, I sincerely, well, all right, let me give you one example of why I think this is, that you people have worked very hard. That is, I learned on Monday that one of your members actually went to Cedar Lane to have a look at the problem that exists on at the cul-de-sac. That is very impressive. Taking the time to do something which is really out of your regular time and your work. So it's very impressive, and I really thank you very much for this. Appreciate it.
I also researched it today by waiting on Mill Road
Yes,
for a
yes.
while to make a right turn onto the
Yes,
church.
I mean, all this, I will not know all the detail, but just one example will show me that you take this issue very seriously and then, study this and make a good conclusion. So now it comes to the point that today the issue is that for the rescind of the board's opposition, now the opposition is to have a frontage that is the 25 foot instead of 75, and to have an entrance in onto Cedar Lane, and that was the decision that the board has made. And I would urge the board not to rescind this for the following reason, because if you rescind a decision that has already undergone discussion, it suggests there was some error that was originally there that you discovered now, and I don't believe that's the case. And the second point is that often to rescind a decision means that the other side has actually violated some of the actions or that's involved in the decision. And I don't believe that's the case either. In fact, I'd like to point out that the applicants have actually agreed to not to have the opening to Cedar Lane, to have perpetual prohibition of a driveway. So in fact, there's nothing to rescind from. The decision that was made was a good decision, and I think they should stand. Now, with regard to the new proposal that they have, we don't really have much time to discuss here, and I believe that there will be a planning committee, and I will be presenting the issues that concern that, not to be discussed right now. So the discussion right now is please do not rescind a decision that you spend time discussing and come to a conclusion which is very valid, and in fact is supported by the applicants.
So just to be clear and for the record, the rescission has nothing to do with the 25-foot frontage or the driveway onto Cedar Lane. The rescission is to whether the applicants can subdivide their lot or not. If they, as a condition for allowing the subdivision, they have agreed to go to Mill Road as opposed to Cedar. So if we allow a subdivision, whether we approve or oppose or not oppose, they have already agreed to not go to Cedar Lane at all.
Yeah.
The rescission is to whether we allow them to get a variance to build two houses or whether we keep things at the status quo. That's what the decision is about today.
And just to be clear, we don't ultimately decide whether the zoning board grants a variance or not. So
No.
that decision solely rests with the zoning hearing board, and they're a standalone body. So what we had voted on previously was to send our solicitor to that meeting to express our opposition as a board to granting whatever variances they're looking for. But the zoning board doesn't have to agree with us.
Understand, but the rescission is to say, to oppose to the application. And within the application, that there is a 25, described it, that there is a driveway onto Cedar Lane, and which the applicants withdrew. And they agreed with you, in fact. They have the new proposal, and we are not here to discuss the new proposal, because that will be discussed by the zoning board first.
Well, whether we send our solicitor in opposition to their application in its current form is still relevant. And that's what we're discussing tonight. We're voting to either remove our original opposition or rescind that opposition or to leave it in place.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, to once you made the decision, unless you discover there was some error or there was some violation of that, there's no particular reason to rescind.
Well, you could make the case that members voted to oppose it based upon the issues with Cedar Lane. So a commissioner could say, okay, well, now I don't think we should oppose it because those Cedar Lanes are addressed.
Well,
I'm not saying that's going to happen, but
No, but I'm saying that usually when you have received, like, for example, a contract that's issued, not in this particular case, but if you issue a contract and the person who received the contract has violated the terms, and then that can be rescinded, the contract will be rescinded. Usually rescind means that there is some error that's discovered.
so taking the word rescind out of it, are you sharing that you think the board should still oppose the
Yes,
variances that are
yes,
being
I
sought?
think because the decision was made, and I believe it's a good decision, it's a correct decision, therefore, I'm asking the board not to rescind.
Okay, so you're still in opposition of this
Yes, I'm in
subdivision.
opposition of that,
Okay.
yes. But I agree with the board's original decision to oppose.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nofe Baker. Together with my wife Cheryl and my daughters Lydia and Margot, we reside at 2014 Cedar Lane, which is the property that will be immediately next to the proposed project. I think I already shared with the commissioners that this has been an incredible educational experience for me. I'm not very knowledgeable about how all this works. And I apologize ahead of time just for any misconceptions that I had through all this process. I can tell you though that we moved into our house about 8 years ago. My wife was pregnant with our daughter Margot, and the due date was 2 weeks before we moved in. So I was on teenage there to make sure that we had a new house for my wife and our new baby. But one of the reasons we did that is because we fell in love with the neighborhood, the township. I can tell you that we look close to 40 properties for many, many months. And I feel very lucky that we landed on this particular property. And for us, this is going to be our forever home. I'm also one of the neighbors that has inconvenienced some of my neighbors with some renovations in the house. The house was, outdated, so we needed to improve some of the things. I hope you guys will bear with me. But I guess our position of myself and my family is that we would request that the commissioners maintain the opposition to the variance. Some of it, a little part, is because of my lack of understanding of how it works, and I still don't have a lot of faith and trust that nothing else could be done in there. The other part is by all the, I guess, my own education about density, what it means for the neighborhood in a whole, what it means for our utilities and everything that will be related to this new property. I honestly, I think we were if not the first, the second family that welcomed the Stefanos when they bought that property. Everything was via text messages because they never took, residents at that property. And I think I spoke once with Andre, which was on my initiative to call him to let him know that during the process of asking for permits for our renovation, we realized when they did the surveying that our property was encroaching about 2 feet or 3 feet into his property. So I wanted to give him a heads up and make sure that, we were clear that as soon as we needed to do anything, move fences or something, we're, more than willing and able to do that. But just in summary, I don't want to take a lot of time. I would hope that you would consider to maintain that opposition. I would hope that Mr. Stefano has his chance to go to the zoning board and propose or present his new project with the driveway on Mill Road. and I wish him all the luck. I remember when we were doing ours, there was a couple of things that we were told by the township that we needed variance. And since it was for things that, in my opinion, were not important, like, the deck being a foot longer or a foot shorter, we ought to, by not having to go through that process and just obey whatever the directives you guys have on the code for the township. Thank you very much.
Can I ask a question?
Sorry.
So,
Oh, and one more thing.
Yes.
Sir. Just for the record, I drafted a letter that was presented to you, and I collected the signatures of my neighbors. We went and talked and asked if they were willing to support the points that we were presenting. And, we should make sure because I think at some point somebody asked, do we have talked to the neighbors?
This could be my misunderstanding, but what we are opposing is the Stefano's development that would not touch Cedar Lane, but would subdivide the property and go to Mill Road. Is that what we are opposing here tonight? Or we're suggesting that we oppose in front of the committee, or?
Well, yeah, because that's their current iteration of the plan.
Okay, so the current iteration of the plan is that they're not going to do anything on Cedar Lane. They're going to subdivide their property and have a driveway to Mill Road. And that's what we're sort of discussing what we're
Right, and the
proposing.
driveway would be via an easement, not a flag
I
lot.
think they said they were flexible, either easement or they would do fee
And
simple.
it would be roughly 25 foot of frontage
Okay.
Via that driveway on Mill Road. Correct.
Also requiring variance. Correct. Okay.
Yeah, variance would be required regardless.
I'm Tom Harkins, 407 Cedar Lane. And I just want to say that I would also support that you continue with the opposition to these variances. I think as it was already stated, the zoning regulations are there for a reason. To grant variances, I think, is something that should be extremely rare to be used. And it's some kind of extenuating circumstances where there's a lot of justification and explanation as to why you might have to do this. This property that's being proposed to be built is being placed in an area where it is closest, obviously, to Cedar Lane. I know we've already talked about removing the entrance to Cedar Lane, but the reality is that you cannot put a house there on Cedar Lane because that property does not have that frontage on Cedar Lane. And there's a reason, again, why you need to have a certain amount of frontage to be able to put a house in that space. That cul-de-sac that was designed there was actually designed originally for a through street. So it's a much smaller bulb of a cul-de-sac than a cul-de-sac that would accommodate houses that are normally in a cul-de-sac completely around that bulb. This doesn't allow that because there's just a small area that was going to originally be a street, 50 some years ago, which obviously has never happened. So there is no space there to put that property. Likewise, if you take it to the side on Mill Road, say there is a property there and there's a house there and that's all appropriate. It's on Mill Road. You're now talking about keeping that house there and now trying to plop another house behind it, which is very far from Mill Road, behind this property, now running this narrow driveway all the way out to Mill Road. Again, both of them are requiring variances, which again, in my mind, should be only for an extreme extenuating circumstance. The last thing I want to address, because I know it's been brought up twice now, about kind of this, threat of these multiple units being placed on this land. And why I don't know all the technicalities of that. And I think as David said, maybe there'd be some issues that would block that from happening. So I'm not, not accepting the possibility that that could happen. But I guess at this point, that's a theoretical. There's been nothing presented there with regards to that. The actual concrete that we have in front of us is this proposal. So again, I would just ask the board to continue to support the opposition to any variances being granted for this project.
If I could just respond to, I don't consider it a threat. I just think the zoning code allows a unit per square footage, right? That's just what it allows without a variance. And I understand you not wanting to grant a variance. What I'm saying is someone who wanted to could by right, without seeking a variance, do something that has an effect that is far worse than what you're anticipating. I'm not saying, and it's not a threat. It's just how the zoning code.
Yeah, perhaps threat was the wrong word. I think it's somehow being used in decision-making as to, well, it's best we do this because it's a lesser of two evils as opposed to this.
No.
And that's why I'm saying, if we're saying lesser of two evils, one's a theoretical and one is actually concrete.
I
real
think
that
I
we're
should be
talking
more
about.
clear. I am a proponent of informed decision-making. I am in favor of supporting what the neighbors wish, provided they understand that there is something that can be done in the alternative. And they still, if you still, you can make any decision you like as a group. And if the neighbors support and the commission support, I will support you. But I think it's my duty and obligation to make you aware that there is a potential that would not require a variance, which could be dramatically different than what's being proposed.
Yeah.
That's
No, I very much appreciate that. And I mean, I can speak for myself. I understand that as I've just spoken to. And I think
Fair.
several of the neighbors understand that as well.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment?
I just want to let you know, I put the new stuff in front of us and you can let Mike know or whatever if you need any changes. I think it kind of incorporates everything we talked about the other night. So if you have any questions, whatever.
Great.
You know how to
Yep.
find me. Okay, great. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
Mike Vecchio, 405 Cedar Lane. I mean, it's pretty much the consensus of everybody on Cedar that we don't want the driveway to come out to our street for any number of reasons. I mean, I've lived there my entire life. It's a great little place. We all moved there for the reason that it's small and it didn't look like it would ever change. There's potential for other changes at the other cul-de-sac. So we're all kind of like looking about what's the next shoe to drop. We realize that people have the right to do whatever they want with their own properties. If you just look at the neighboring property that had just more recently been built on, they've had to follow the criteria to get their house to where it is. The neighbor sold the back and they followed the rules 100%, didn't need a variance, like you've mentioned. And we were all under the impression that this property that now is in question couldn't fulfill the obligation like the neighbor because it would require more than one variance. If they're given an easement concept to get the driveway out to Mill, who's to say that they couldn't use that same concept to say, we want to go out to Cedar now since you gave it to the easement concept to go out to Mill. So we're all concerned about how it's worded. Everybody's usually a little, I'm a little confused about the wording. You guys have pretty much said that you kind of support us in never allowing it to go to Cedar. And as we've heard just this evening, which I never really heard before, that they could propose something worse. But if it's worse, as long as it doesn't come out to Cedar, that's all I think I am concerned with, as well as the neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you.
While public comment is open, I'm curious if any of those any of you neighbors here tonight would just want to make any comment on, is it the opposition purely to any potential development there always? And is that really the main crux of this? Is there just a hope that there anticipation that back area will never have a home on it? I'm curious.
Sorry, if you want to speak, you do have to come to the mic.
The house that's proposed really only affects two neighbors directly. The rest of us would be affected by the driveway if it was to come out to Cedar.
But
If it doesn't come out
taking
to
that
s-
away, it seems,
Right.
I
So if
think-
it doesn't come out to Cedar, none of us, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to the development of the property. It's somebody's property. He could develop it the way he wants. Obviously, you'd have to go through some kind of agreement when planning. We just watched one house be built and it was followed the code perfectly. And I think that person who built that house seriously considered why he moved there because of what the surrounding properties were like and what the potential of development was. And we were all kind of like, okay, they got this one in because it met the criteria perfectly, and we really couldn't argue it. this house and this property doesn't meet the criteria like the other neighbor had to have. And I don't know how many neighbors would be opposed to the development of the property. The only other homeowner that it really would affect more than anybody else, because they're down the hill, would be their concerns about how the property's graded and whatnot. But as far as opposition of development, I'm not quite sure if everybody would be opposed to it.
So as a technicality, just so everyone else understands, the most recent proposal is to have a restrictive covenant, which is in the deed, which would prevent anything built on Cedar Lane and around that cul-de-sac. Now, that restrictive covenant stays with the land. So any owner or future owner would also be prevented from doing anything on that cul-de-sac. That's just how a restrictive covenant in the deed works. What the latest proposal is to subdivide the lot and have a driveway to Mill Road. And it sounds like there's a couple issues. One issue is that some people don't want any development, period, whether it's on Cedar or not. And some people are concerned about the language around access to Cedar. So just to set the table, the Stefanos, the developer and the owners have agreed to not go to Cedar and to have a restrictive covenant in the deed. I think the important question is, do we not want something going to Mill Road? And that's kind of what is the issue at stake here. There will never be, under their plan, anything that happens on Cedar based on the restrictive covenant in the deed.
So my principal objection would be if there is anything on Cedar, and I understand about the restrictive covenant in the deed. And so I think my immediate concern is what constraints will there be on will utilities come through and what type of construction access will come through. So that, I think my personal objection, that's sort of my principal concern. I also, in general, so that to your question about like, am I opposed to development in general there? I would say no, but I think there's a lot of things that could end poorly being built there. And so, for instance, there are drainage problems that are there. Like if someone came in, like there's an active floodplain and there was a house that FEMA like condemned and destroyed that near where we're talking about. And I believe that some people are concerned about grading and runoff on that property down to where they basically diverted part of the bottom of the street, felt like a bank where the house used to be, to channel floodwater. And I know, given the grading, some people are concerned about it. So just as a practical matter, like if someone tried to build 4 or 5 houses there, I think just on like impervious surface and the fact you'd have a really hard time grading it, I don't know if that would even work. So like that, those are the kinds of things I would be concerned about for development in general, but I am not in principle opposed to development.
So those types of things would be addressed in the development planning process where you would have engineers.
Right. No, I understand.
Yeah,
And I understand that's not
Yeah.
for you guys to do.
And I
but-
understand it might not even be possible. It might be a horrible idea to build 3 houses or 4 houses. My objective is to make sure people know that there is another opportunity potentially that doesn't involve a variance, 1.
Yes.
And 2, that the current proposal does not include anything on Cedar Lane and is deed restricted.
Yeah.
Those are I just want to make sure people are clear so that we can make an informed decision on their behalf.
And I do think personally, I think some of the variance requests are a little on the excessive side, and I would be slightly opposed to that, but that's not a huge thing for me.
Okay, thank you. Oh, boy.
Pardon me for speaking out again, but I'd like to urge one question. That is, if you keep the original decision, that is the opposition, what harm is there? Because the developer or rather the applicant has already decided that you had made a correct decision. So your decision stands, is correct. They agree with it. So why do you want to rescind your original decision?
Well, again, our opposition is based on a different set of facts now than it was.
well,
So,
it's a different
so
set of-
it is different. And if someone, hang on, sir, if someone asks for us to not oppose, they're just asking for let the zoning board do what they do, which is their purview. So
Yeah.
in most cases, a vast majority of cases, this board takes no position on these
Yeah.
projects. We let the zoning board handles it.
Exactly, that is correct. But when you made a decision, which I think is a correct decision, the applicant has gone back and say, yes, we agree. And now we have come back with a new proposal. So it's really a separate issue. So the original should stay.
The decision that we made originally
Yes?
was based on the fact that the developer proposed Cedar Lane access.
Yeah, yes, that's right.
And so they've removed that request.
But they agree with you. They agree with you that they agree with your opposition.
Right, but they
to
changed the plan.
Yes.
So
So
the
they
opposition was
have-
based on something that
They
they
have,
changed.
they have produced a new plan. So now, of course, it's up to the zoning committee or the commission to look at the new plan to see whether they will agree or not, and then come back to you.
Well, no,
Can I
well,
ask
the
you a
issue in front of us tonight is, do we still oppose it based upon the new information? And we're
well,
going to
no-
answer that tonight. I'm not telling you what the answer is. We don't know what the answer is until we
Yes, I
vote.
know. This is not the question. The question is, do you think that the original decision was incorrect? Because if it is incorrect, it's correct.
That plan. There's now a new plan. We have to decide whether we're gonna oppose this plan or not.
Yes, in that case, there's no reason to rescind the original plan because they have a new plan, then we can make decision upon that.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're deciding on the new plan, not the old plan. We're deciding whether to approve or oppose or not oppose the new plan, not the old plan.
Well, the new plan hasn't been through the zoning committee
Correct.
as yet.
Well, neither was the first one. that we
Neither was the
voted on.
first one. So we're deciding whether to oppose or not oppose the new plan before it gets to the zoning board. That's what we're deciding tonight.
All right, so, but we hear you. You feel like we should still oppose this
Yes, because the
proposal.
decision, because the
Okay.
decision was made and it was made correctly. And so let it stand and then you move
Okay.
on to the new plan and make a new decision.
Okay, your comment is acknowledged. Thank you.
If I could be a bit more plain too, and inviting the public comment during this period as opposed to when we speak later, when the public comment will be closed. You know, I live in an area where there are larger plots of land, maybe more similar to this type of area. So I'm curious for those neighbors who live maybe adjacent or on Mill Road with similar size opportunities. And I guess I'm looking directly at you here, but what other opposition thoughts there are. I hesitate and have hesitated with the new plan to oppose, because I do think there is still an uphill battle at zoning required. But also the position taken would have to say that there's almost like, oh, you just can't go for it on these sites when really there's, to Commissioner Morris's point, a lot of opportunity for different variations on sites. And that could be something that could be outlaid and meted out through the zoning process as well as the land use and subdivision process. And so I take that more conservative approach, given that I know across our township, there, particularly with these larger plots of land, there are so many various unique circumstances that I believe and trust that the zoning board will be able to meet out with the guidance of the law there, that I may not have sufficient information to take that position right now. And so that's where I am presently standing and trying to understand if there's some other feedback I can retrieve from the neighbors here, other thoughts here that we can help, that can help inform taking opposition and thereby making a policy statement accordingly. If we oppose in these situations, you can imagine if I have many of these types of plots of land in where I am a commissioner, it does have implications. It's not just a one-off. Although, yes, every case does stand alone. Every request for a variance does stand alone, to be clear, in deference to due process and what have you. But I take a more conservative approach, knowing that there are a lot of hackneyed and strange large lots of land, particularly in my ward and certainly across the township.
Just one more comment, and I understand what you're saying, and I kind of agree. But my only hope is that Mr. Stefano purchased that property with the intention to live there, renovated the house for him and his wife and his family, and not as an investment property to subdivide in the future. Because I'm assuming that when that property was for sale, somebody looked at the code and realized that you couldn't build two residences there unless you demolish one, right? Like you pointed out, or you go for this variance process, just for those reasons, I think, the people that buy into these properties, they buy because they like the lot and they like the house and the location, and that's pretty much it. I don't think it should be seen as an opportunity to not live there and turn that into two properties. And yes, we're told that Mr. Stefano wants to come back and live in the house. But, we've been told a lot of things during this process. And I have nothing against Mr. Stefano. I think he's a nice person as anybody else, because I don't have any reason to not believe that. But it's been a process of half truths, half presentations, half reasons. And I think that has created a little bit of distrust, especially in my family.
And I think for the record, that's why when I started, I would say Commissioner Cobb has had a lot of conversation with you that I haven't. He knows the context that I don't. So that's why my inclination is to defer to Commissioner Cobb, because he has the history that I don't. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that there's an opportunity for something else.
And again, to give you a bit more time if you have any other thoughts. I also have sensitivities personally for two different reasons. One, I actually live adjacent to a driveway next to a long driveway. And it probably was grandfathered, and I don't know. Most likely, it was historically done that way. It created a situation that which is probably what they're hoping to achieve. And I have to say, it's not by itself particularly egregious. I could see in the past time, it was a large lot, and that's just how it happened. Whatsoever the code says, I'm just saying by itself, not egregious by itself. On the other hand, I appreciate and particularly acknowledging the, for lack of a better word, ignorance to the process. I myself was a victim of that, because on the other side of me, a home was subdivided by right. And again, I want to echo, much like Commissioner Morris is intimating, that there are these possibilities that, folks are saying, hey, I don't want utilities coming through. Well, when something comes by right, those utility lines are going to come through whatsoever the avenues that they are supposed to come through, whether that's by this street, that street, from the sky, whatever the engineering parameters are.
The utility easement trumps all.
Yeah, kind of. If you ever heard of us complain about all the various utilities, we similarly complain. All that to say that I'm trying to be sensitive, and frankly, I uniquely have a sensitive perspective to both of those issues. And I'm just trying to hear all of these perspectives as I come to my conclusion tonight. And so for those who live adjacent to this potential project, I would really like to hear from them.
Great, thank you so much. My name is John Lawton, and my wife and I, Kristen, we live at 409 East Mill Road. So we're the people who developed the property. So when we bought the property in 2021, everything was clean. There was 75 foot of frontage, and we had everything was done complete. We didn't have to get any variances, and everything was done to spec. We were super careful about what we built there because of the cul-de-sac and because of what went on there. We were very clear, and tried to be very specific with the neighbors as far as what was happening. We were very specific with Andre and his wife, who weren't there at the time. We FaceTime, we showed them exactly what we were doing. We were careful about what trees we put there. We wanted to make sure that it was a property that would be very accommodative in the neighborhood and everything that went on with that. And I made sure that Andre and his wife knew what we were doing. We had conversations to make sure trees were in the right spot and so forth. When we bought that property, it was our thought that there would not be able to be developing that would be going on at that property next door. But that being said, the process is pretty clear, and if variance is needed or easements are needed, which is a little bit complicated for all the people in the room because we don't always understand that, we are going through the process and making sure that we trust in the process, and if there is ultimately the nuclear version, as you would probably call it, and that happens, we'll have to deal with it. But right now, we just want to make sure that that the things that need to be done are done correctly. If there's variances that are needed and so forth, that the process goes through directly. So thanks for your time.
Thank you. Okay. Hearing no further public comment, we will now get into our committee reports. This will start with me. All right, I will start as the chairman of the Public Safety Committee. I just have one item this evening. I move that the Board of Commissioners authorize the Springfield Township Opioid Action Committee to utilize the official seal of the Township of Springfield for the limited purpose of advertising the activities and events associated with the second annual No Stigma, No Shame Day on Saturday, April 20th, 2024, and a town hall event that is planned for April 11th, 2024 at 6:15 p.m. in the Township Administration Building. The seal shall not be utilized for any other purpose. That is my motion. Do we have a second? Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record a unanimous vote. And that concludes my report, and I will now go to the chairman of the Community Development Committee, Commissioner Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have three resolutions and a motion. My first resolution is number 1636, Land Development, Morris Arboretum. I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt resolution number 1636, a resolution granting a waiver to the land development review process to permit the Morris Arboretum of the University of Pennsylvania to construct an 1,800 square foot modular research laboratory at the Bloomfield property, 301 East Northwestern Avenue, Philadelphia. The building will be utilized to conduct plant research. The applicant shall be required to obtain all required building permits and to perform on-site stormwater management to the satisfaction of the township engineer. That is my motion.
I have a motion. Is there a second? Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
My second resolution is number 1637, subdivision/lot line change 700/702 Preston Road. I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt resolution 1637, resolution granting preliminary/final subdivision approval for the properties located at 700 and 702 Preston Road, Erdenheim. The subdivision will result in the transfer of 4,503 square feet of land from the rear of from the rearmost portion of the corner property at 700 Preston Road to the side yard of the property at 702 Preston Road. No new construction is proposed. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
My third resolution is 1638, Transportation and Community Development Initiative Program.
Grove.
I'm not doing this one?
You're gonna do that one, but you skipped this one.
I know I did it on purpose.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You don't like the way numbers go?
No, all right. I'm following the numbers. This is 1638. I just did 1637. I move the Board of Commissioners adopt resolution 1638, a resolution authorizing participation in a multi-municipal planning grant to study the feasibility of implementing traffic calming and multi-modal improvements on Cheltenham Avenue from Paper Mill Road to Ogontz Avenue. The Montgomery County Planning Commission has agreed to prepare the application on behalf of Cheltenham and Springfield Townships and the city of Philadelphia. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments?
I only hope that in the future, our next stop is Stenton Avenue, as residents have previously brought forward. And hopefully we can create multiple multimodal opportunities throughout our community.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
My last motion, Mr. President, is the subdivision / lot line change for 40/42 Grove Avenue. I move that the Board of Commissioners accept a letter dated March 11, 2024 from Gerald Rath Esquire on behalf of the owners of the real property located at 40 and 42 Grove Avenue, Flowertown, extending the 90-day subdivision / land development plan review period through April 11, 2024. The subject of the application is a lot line adjustment that proposes to transfer 2,936 square feet of land from the property at 42 Grove Avenue to the property at 40 Grove Avenue. The extension of time will allow the applicant the opportunity to revise the plans to comply with the Springfield Township Code. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
And that concludes my reports.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. We will now go to the Chairman of the Administrative, Fiscal Affairs and Zoning Committee, Commissioner Cobb.
Thank you, Mr. President. To begin, we'll start with the bill listing. I move that the Board of Commissioners approve the February check reconciliation in the amount of $615,395.13 and the March bill listing in the amount of $454,572.15. That's my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
Great. Next, I'd like to announce that the next zoning hearing board meeting will meet on Monday, March 25th at 7 p.m. in this building, in this room, in which they will hear the following four applications, excuse me. Two of which are continued applications. The first is an application from Andre Stefano and Beth Lesko, owners of the property located at 401 East Mill Road in Flowertown. The applicants are requesting a variance seeking to subdivide the property with a proposed lot having frontage on East Mill Road. The variance has been requested to allow the proposed lot to have 25 feet of lot frontage instead of the required 75 feet. That property is zoned within the 8 residential district of Ward 6. The second continued application is of Holy Martyrs Roman Catholic Church, owners of the property located at 207 Ulmer Avenue in Orland. The applicant is seeking approval to use a vacant convent as daycare preschool space. In addition, the applicant is seeking approval to install a ground-mounted sign not to exceed 25 square feet on the property. The plan calls for parking, student drop-off and pickup to take place at the rectory property and play area to be constructed on the vacant lot fronting on Clement Street. That property is zoned within the B residential district of Ward 3. For new business, they will hear the application, I apologize in advance, of Daniel Remashevsky, owner of the property located at 613 Station Avenue in Glenside. The applicant has filed an appeal to the actions of the zoning officer related to the building permit application denial letter dated February 20th, 2024. The letter denied a building permit application for the construction of 2,619 square feet attached garage and an additional 1,030 square feet of driveway for use as a storage facility for a fire truck and other equipment used in relation to the property owner's business. In the alternative, a variance has been requested from the zoning board. That variance would allow the owner to construct the garage and to operate the business for more than 25% of the habitable floor area. That property is owned within the AA residential district of Ward 7. And finally, the application of the school district of Springfield Township, owners of the property located at 1901 East Paper Mill Road in Orland. The applicants are requesting a variance, seeking the approval to allow the school district to construct the proposed 22,000 square foot addition to the existing middle school building that would be 35.93 feet from the property line adjoining Route 309 right-of-way, instead of the required 75 feet. The proposed addition and house auditorium space, kitchen area improvement, and counseling area offices. That property is zoned within the institutional district of Ward number 4. Again, those 4 applications are set to be heard on Monday, April 22nd at 7 p.m. in this room. And finally, regarding 401 East Mill Road, without my support, I move that the Board of Commissioners rescind its opposition to the zoning petition submitted by Andre Stefano and Beth Lesko, owners of the property located at 401 East Mill Road, based upon representations made by counsel for the property owners at the March 11th meeting of the Board of Commissioners. Mr. Stefano and Ms. Lesko must still appear before the zoning hearing board to present their case, and if successful, will be required to obtain subdivision land development approvals in accordance with the township's subdivision of land regulations. And that's my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments?
So I'll make a comment. So as we heard from a lot of the committed neighbors that came out tonight, who are joined, I would say unanimously, by certainly every other neighbor that I spoke to, both on Cedar and Mill, sort of the affected area, truly was unanimous. There was not one person that I spoke with who supported this project. But as eloquently expressed by all of them, this is not a small ask that's being made here. And yes, we could allow the zoning hearing board to do what they do. But when there is such unanimous opposition on the part of residents, I believe it's our responsibility to try to support them in that effort. That support is not a guarantee that, their case will be denied. But in this particular instance, because the variances that are being asked, when the frontage requirement is 75 feet and all they have is 25 feet, this is not them putting on a deck that might be a little bit closer to another neighbor yard boundary. This is a sizable impact on the character of the neighborhood. And I think everybody would be in agreement that, again, if it was being done in accordance with the ordinances that this township has, and we have them for a reason. We have them to, protect density and protect resources and congestion. And I think that, we all know situations where, we've understood the reasons. But I think it's clear, as we discussed on Monday, there's no clear hardship here. I think that a lot of the changes that they've made to the plans have been done still in a way that impacts the surrounding neighbors and not necessarily, takes it upon themselves to sort of make it less cumbersome. But I do strongly ask that my fellow commissioners do support me in our opposition to the changes. Even at the late hour of sort of arriving tonight for the meeting, we got, more changes that are being shared with us, but not necessarily with the neighbors that are impacted. And I think that's the other piece that was sort of talked about in a very polite way, but the lack of candor that has been expressed by the applicant through this whole process really has left all of the residents with very little faith that they're going to, do this project in a way that, meets a lot of the spirit of the rules. So there's just a lot of concern with this project. And outside the specifics of that, I do think that it warrants the township opposition, because we've opposed other projects for less. But given the size of the variance requested, which does seem a bit egregious. And the character of the neighborhood and the existing infrastructure, I would like to see us continue that opposition.
Any other comment?
I mean, I guess I already made the comment during public comment, but and I still lean that way, not, and I don't want it to appear as though not making opposition somehow means supporting the plan. I think the note you make about the process is relevant to me, again, with the concerns of how things get meted out in the process. And we don't oppose all things that are egregious. For example, this request to house a fire truck on your residential property. We're not sending in our solicitor to oppose that. We trust to some degree that's going to get, again, meted out for, just because I've used that term now. So that's on top of my mind at this hour. But, so not making opposition doesn't really mean supporting the plan either. It's still clearly an uphill battle. The only thing I think I had trouble with is 25 to 75. That's obviously a deviation by 30%, right? And that's a fair argument. But again, taking a conservative approach, knowing that the zoning board is going to approach this, with that conservatism as well, and also keeping in mind there are many lots, particularly in my ward, that have strange setups that might, require such things. I want to, be sure that we're using these oppositions when we need them and for the policy reasons necessary. And I'm not there yet. So that's where I'm at. Though I of course support generally what neighbors want, as we did when the Cedar Lane neighbors came forward last month. And I want to, but this is a point in time where I feel like I'm running into this policy versus purely what we wish to see situation.
I'm going to vote to keep the opposition in place. I agree with a lot of what Commissioner Cobb had said. But I will say it wasn't an easy decision. And we talked about it Monday night. I said, I need to sleep on it and think about it more. And I think, I don't want to speak for other commissioners, but I think they were very thoughtful about this because we do a lot of times really want to default to let the zoning board, make their decision. If something is egregious, then usually they'll find that way. So they don't need us weighing in on it. So to me, I was really close to 50-50 on sort of where I stood on it. The fact that the variances, to use the word, it was turning out a little bit egregious. If the applicant had maybe made more of an effort to make their own sacrifices on their own lot to get that closer, maybe I would have been swayed. But I do feel like it's warranted to have that opposition. And it's not a slam dunk, and everyone can fall where they are on it. But I would vote to keep that in place as well, just because I think that's the right call.
Oh, and may I add, speaking of that, encroaching into beyond 25, I talked to our township manager about what that could possibly look like. Could you do more than 25? Seems like you can. I mean, and again, as far as process goes, is it up to me or us to tell these folks, like, maybe not great money to spend for something that's unlikely if you could actually get more? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's where I should be advising. And I'm challenged by that. So all that to say that I hope none of the neighbors or Commissioner Cobb's take us to mean that I wouldn't support the neighbors, opposition in general, just that here running up against policy and process for Ward 5, or I mean,
So
for my ward.
what I would say is there's an old saying in the law, and that is your right to swing your fist ends at the tip of my nose. What does that mean? If I have a right, it shouldn't be based on what other people think that I can or can't do. It's a right. So the fact that, someone bought a property and you would hope they would use it for whatever purpose you would hope useful has no bearing on what they can legally do. It may not be agreeable to you. You may not like it, but that's the country we live in. And it's the greatest country in the world for that reason, because we each have individual rights. That said, I also put great weight and great value in the relationships that our commissioners have with their constituents. It's clear that there are constituents here, enough, although granted, I only see one family from Mill Road here. Only one. I trust that the commissioner has done his due diligence with his neighbors. So I would support Commissioner Cobb based not on a constitutional right or what I think is right or wrong, but based on the public policy of, you know, being able to be a commissioner to constituents.
All right, any other comment? All right, just to be clear, for this resolution, an aye vote would be to remove or rescind our previous opposition. A nay vote would be to keep that in place. Okay, so all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay?
Nay.
Nay. Please record a 1-6 vote. So the opposition remains in place.
Thank you, Mr. President. And with that, that concludes my report.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Cobb. I would like to take just the opportunity real quick, just to acknowledge a couple people that are here. Our Public Works Director, Ian Hammer, is with us tonight. And Brett Ryder, also on our recycling crew, is here. And I understand, Brett, you are pursuing your college degree while working daily here. So thank you for being here. What do you,
Are you
what
getting
is your
credit for
degree?
this?
Independent study.
Not yet.
What are you studying? What are you studying? Business administration. Great, great.
Not commuting.
Awesome.
Thanks for hanging in there.
Yeah, there you go. Great. Okay, we will now go to the Chairwoman of the Parks and Recreational Resources Committee, Commissioner Ratzbaum.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have it's like two motions here for you today. First, I'm excited to move forward regarding the Recreation Center Master Plan. I move that the Board of Commissioners engage the services of MKSD Architects of Allentown, Pennsylvania, to provide community research, data and needs analysis, facility programming, and conceptual design services for the Springfield Township Recreation Center project. Woohoo! The engagement shall be consistent with the MKSD proposal dated December 1, 2023, last revised February 5, 2024, for a 20,000 square foot estimated facility. The final terms of the engagement shall be reflected in an agreement that is to be in a form acceptable to the township solicitor. The fee for the current scope of work shall not exceed $100,747.50. The selection of MKSD Architects was a very careful and deliberate process, starting with the solicitation of a request for proposals, or RFPs, in October of 2023 that resulted in the receipt of 11 proposals from area architects. The proposals were reviewed by the Recreation Center Advisory Committee and publicly discussed at their December 7, 2023 meeting, following which 5 firms were invited to interview with the board and committee on January 4, 2024. The committee continued their evaluations at their February 1 meeting and unanimously recommended the engagement of MKSD Architects at their March 7 meeting. The Board of Commissioners would like to thank the members of the Recreation Center Advisory Committee for dedicating their time and talents to this project. The Recreation Center Advisory Committee meets on the first Thursday of every month at 6 p.m. at the Free Library of Springfield Township. All members of the community are encouraged to attend. That is my motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? Any questions or comments?
Again, just want to comment on the expertise and talent we had on the committee and the contributions of members of the public who came forward. I think one exciting piece of this, for example, is a member of the public who came in and asked if we were looking into any women-owned firms. And incidentally, they were one, and they've come out on top, though that was not a criteria involved. And so I'm excited to say this is a woman-owned firm per the interests of that resident. And they come highly recommended and well vetted, I should say, by a team of talent at the committee. Much appreciated for everyone's hard work.
I would add too. I mean, I think as more and more people learn about this project, and frankly, we'll probably get excited about, there's a lot of opportunities for engagement. So this committee that's been meeting since March of last year To get us to this point, we'll continue to meet monthly, most months. And those meetings are open to the public. They're on our township website calendar. And once the architects get going, one of their first charges is really community engagement to do a needs assessment and get public feedback. So there'll be some public meetings that they hold, and obviously we'll announce it when that's known. So for anyone watching or reading about this, there's tons of opportunity for people to get involved.
And that was my motion. There was a second.
I think we already had a second.
We did.
Okay. Do we have any more comments or questions? All right. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
All right, my next motion is regarding Cisco Park Playground and the bid related to that. On March 1, 2024, a bid opening was conducted for the Cisco Park Playground Improvement Project. The scope of work for the bid includes removal and disposal of the existing fence, playground equipment, and asphalt trail, the installation of concrete pads for restrooms, a concrete perimeter curb for the playground surfacing, a paved asphalt walking trail, ADA accessible parking spaces, and signage. Only one bid was received from Plymar Construction Company Incorporated in the amount of $83,396. The township engineer believes that the limited number of bidders can be attributed to the relatively small scope of work, coupled with the fact that contractors having the capacity to participate in larger publicly bid projects are generally not interested in bidding on such a small project. Therefore, we feel comfortable in moving, and I move that the Board of Commissioners award a contract to Plymar Construction Company, Inc. of Plymouth Meeting, PA for their low bid of $83,396. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
I just want to make note that a longer batting cage is going in at Veterans at the softball field, and just generally make note of a lot of investments we're making across the township in our parks and recreation spaces. I know that is a priority of the board and certainly a priority of mine and my constituents, and I just really appreciate all of this movement in recreating.
Great.
So that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Ratzavon. We now go to the Chairman of the Environmental Resources Committee, Commissioner May.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd begin with the recycling report. During the month of February 2024, Springfield Township residents recycled 139.5 tons of material with a householder participation rate of 78.3%. The net cost for the month was $23,534.68. Next, regarding the plastic bags, the Board of Commissioners would like to remind residents that single-use plastic bags are not suitable for recycling as part of the township's curbside recycling collection program. In addition, plastic bags and liners should not be used to replace recyclables out for collection by township crews to place them out there. Plastic bags slow the sorting process speeds at material recovery facilities, which increases processing costs paid by the township. Residents are encouraged to recycle their plastic bags at drop-off locations presently found at the local Acme and Giant supermarkets, and to avoid placing their materials out for collection using plastic can liners. Then, regarding the Environmental Advisory Commission, I have a motion. I move that the Board of Commissioners appoint Gail Farmer of Flowertown to fill an unexpired term of service as a member of the Springfield Township Environmental Advisory Commission. Ms. Farmer's term of service shall expire June 14th, 2024. That is my motion.
Do we want to read that or no?
Me?
The additional.
That follows.
Okay, great. We have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
Right, and then that does lead me to the next thing, because Ms. Farmer presently serves as an associate member of the Environmental Advisory Commission. And as a result of this appointment as a voting member, there now exists a vacancy as an associate member. Springfield Township residents who are interested in serving as an associate member of the Environmental Advisory Commission are encouraged to send a letter of interest or a resume to the attention of Michael Taylor, Township Manager, 1510 Paper Mill Road, Winmore, PA 19038, or it can be emailed to mtaylor@springfieldmonco.org. All right. And then that brings me to my last item, which is a photovoltaic feasibility study. This is another motion. I move that the Board of Commissioners authorize the Township Manager to execute a proposal dated March 4th, 2024 from Celentano Energy Services to perform a solar photovoltaic feasibility study for the placement of solar panels at the Springfield Township Municipal Campus. The scope of the work shall include the preparation of proposed solar panel locations and system capacity, system performance and electric bill impacts, a financial analysis, including simple payback and 25-year cash flow, and interconnection to existing electrical systems, switchgear, and metering. The fee for services shall not exceed $2,000 and is payable as a fixed fee upon completion and acceptance of work. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
Thank you. That concludes my report.
All right, we're getting there. Thank you, Commissioner May. We will now go to the Chairwoman of the Public Works and Facilities Committee, Commissioner McNamara.
Thank you. I have two items this evening. The first is a bid for 2024 highway resurfacing project. I move that the Board of Commissioners authorize the advertisement of public bids for the Township's 2024 highway resurfacing program. A total of 10 streets are proposed to be milled and resurfaced in 2024 at an estimated cost of $310,109. To the extent that bids are more or less than estimated, the potential exists to subtract or add streets as directed by the board, so as long as they are within 25% of the estimated quantities. Copies of the bid specs for the project, along with the complete list of streets to be resurfaced, are available in the office of the Township Manager. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
The second item is regarding 1725 Walnut Avenue. I move that the Board of Commissioners authorize the execution of an additional service agreement with BL Companies Incorporated to perform groundwater sampling at the former Tank Car Corporation of America property at 1725 Walnut Avenue in Orland. The purpose of the sampling activities is to document the presence of migration patterns, if any, of volatile organic compounds in the vicinity of 3 existing groundwater monitoring wells, numbers 6, 9, and 11, on the west side of the property near Orland Mill Road. The total cost of the work is $5,800. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? Mike, when will we get the test results? Now, I know we would still have to submit that for feedback,
It's usually
but
about 4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Is this the last test we're gonna do?
Let's hope so, Pete.
A lot of that's up to the DEP though.
Mm-hmm. And why did this test surface? How did this test surface?
So as you're aware, we're going through the Act 2 voluntary environmental remediation process. And as part of that process, we're required to submit a work plan to the DEP for their approval. In an earlier sampling and water monitoring test, we discovered that there was benzene in monitoring well number 6. And the DEP asked us to characterize that and to determine whether we needed to do anything with that. That was after we pushed back a little bit on their first request for us to do something about it. So what we're trying to do now is to basically verify that the benzene levels have remained stable and that they have not migrated in any other direction from that well. And if that's the case, our proposed method of addressing the benzene is to do nothing other than add to the existing cap that's on there. We would probably have to do some additional quarterly monitoring for a period of time as directed by the DEP. But what we're trying to avoid is an extended and very costly cleanup.
Of course, yes, certainly, yes. Have they stated that if this test comes back clean, we are done?
The DEP has not weighed in on that yet.
Well, the expectation is that it would be clean. The expectation is it would be at previous
Stable.
labels, stable, not moving, capped, and that they would be okay with that versus.
I guess my question, is this the last test?
Can't guarantee that. This is the least costly incremental step towards getting our Act Two approval.
And the importance of the Act Two approval is.
It provides protection from further environmental cleanup costs either on or off-site should DEP determine that it's necessary. And some degree of liability protection going forward.
Yeah, provided that you follow the plan that is agreed to by the parties
Correct.
forever.
Correct.
And ever. Great. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record. Vote.
What?
I don't know why that one was making me laugh, but please record a unanimous vote. I'm probably lack of sleep.
Punch drunk.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner McNamara. We'll now go to the chairman of the Cultural Resources Committee, Commissioner Morris.
I have nothing to report.
That is great news.
That's
Thank you,
the conclusion of
Commissioner.
my
Hard to
report.
believe,
That is great news. Thank you, Commissioner Morris.
all of a sudden.
Okay.
Nothing to report.
The board is once again open to receiving public comment. Make it juicy. Okay, hearing none, I would accept a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Please record unanimous vote. We are adjourned. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.